this debt, this destruction.
Global news impacts us.
We have to change the way we live.
This is why we need independent media.
So this isn't just a libertarian rally. Yeah. This isn't a left-wing rally or a right-wing rally. This is a anti-war rally. And you were correct. When Barack Obama became president, Barack Obama would say things like the Afghanistan war is the good war. Well, you can't be anti-war and think there's good wars. And I don't think people realize just how, I've been saying this a lot lately, just how corrupt their government is. Would you agree that Americans think that our government is just kind of regular corrupt, but instead of what it actually is, it's 100% corrupt, and that the only way the gears of government works is in the direction of corruption? So that's where we can come together. People like me, who I consider myself left of the Democratic Party, and people like you, who is a libertarian right-winger, and we can agree that we need to end empire and invest that money back in our own country. And I think we can come together on this, and I'm gonna.
Absolutely. I love it.
Cheers and salutations. Welcome to this very special episode of Hard Lens Media. I'm your host, Kit Cabello. I'm joined here today with my outstanding colleague, Lauren Schneider, and joining us as a special guest, returning back to the show. I think this is her fourth appearance on Hard Lens Media. She will be speaking at the Rage Against the War Machine that's happening on February 19th. Give it up for activist, whistleblower, and yes, even producer of the Kim Iverson Show, which I have to say, congratulations. Yeah. That is some fantastic news. Very good to hear some of the updates. Shout out to the Kim Iverson Show. She's doing some great work. So I think, and again, for everyone that's been watching us, Hard Lens Media has been interviewing a lot of the guest speakers that will be attending the Rage Against the War Machine. So Tara, I'm going to bring this question to you with something I've asked all of my guests, be they libertarians, musicians, writers, comedians, etc. Why are you participating with this Rage Against the War Machine that's taking place on February 19th? When we look at the groups that are there, they're all smeared by corporate media, third parties, activist groups for speaking out for Assange. Why are you standing in solidarity with them? Why is this event that's taking place at February 19th in Washington, D.C. so important to you, and why are you speaking there?
Well, actually, like when you look at the anti-war movement, are you seeing much as far as marches or anything? And so I think it's really remarkable that these politically diverse groups, and I think Jimmy Dore kind of eloquently put it at the top of your show, you have libertarians, you have a group that, is more socialist, communist, you have generally the just politically neutral, but just anti-war. So you have all these groups combining their efforts against one message, and that is not to send one more penny to Ukraine, which, by the way, by corporate media was called one of the most corrupt countries in the world. So how has that changed? They've already been discovering embezzlement of US aid and European aid by some of the Ukrainian officials. They've already discovered that up to 33% of the weapons, the smaller weapons that they were sending there, didn't even make it, but ended up on the black market and are ending up in countries like Nigeria or even Denmark. And Interpol has even released, a warning about this, about it ending up with terrorists. But frankly, we're at a point in history where we're facing nuclear annihilation. It's stunning. Meanwhile, the party that always claimed to be anti-war and pro-peace, the Democratic Party that always held that mantle up, is actually the hawks. They're actually, and some Republicans too are really pushing for this war in Ukraine, to the last Ukrainian. That's the words they use. And they're pushing the Biden administration for nuclear war. There's even members of that cabinet that talk about nuclear war being limited. They could have a limited nuclear war. Well, I'm telling you right now, Kit, and your audience, there will be no limited nuclear war. It will annihilate the human race. So next week, Biden is going to talk about how great the economy is. Meanwhile, we're paying $8 a carton for eggs. We can't afford to fill up our tanks. We have to have 2 jobs sometimes as Americans to pay our rent or to pay a medical bill. And he's going to talk about how many jobs there are, which are probably mostly service jobs, right? In the service industry. And he's going to talk about how we're saving democracy. Well, Ukraine never was a democracy. And that's been historically a fact. And for 8 years, they were bombing their own citizens in Eastern Donbass who identified as Russian nationals. So more than 14,000 people were killed. So I feel very passionately against this conflict, against any conflict, but in this one in particular. And I think Biden is basically enriching himself, and this is my opinion, and it'll be revealed the corruption that and the money laundering. And I think very soon, with more investigations, they will start revealing just how corrupt this truly is. Not special.
Lauren, I want to give the floor to you. I think you have some questions for our guests as well.
Well, I was just wondering, okay, like, do you think that because there are so many different political affiliates coming together on this, it is more likely to work? Or do you think that is this more about trying to wake up the general American public to it? And because the politicians, I wonder how likely they are to pay attention to this. So is it about trying to get more people in like the constituencies aware of what's going on so that they can put the pressure on their elected officials? Or do you think that this is going to affect like immediately the politicians themselves? Does that make sense?
I think you can raise awareness because it's being so suppressed in social media and in mainstream media. And I think Matt Taibbi has eloquently laid out with Hamilton 68 the campaign of suppression and the misnomers about Russian disinformation as they were percolating this to make Russia our enemy for years and trying to basically mind worm American citizens into thinking that Russia's the enemy when it's not, and it shouldn't be. They only want the peace accord, the Minsk Accords to be held up. They don't want NATO up against their borders or having like a missile being 40 minutes away from their city centers. And Ukraine is not, independent. It's now, I think it's a puppet state of the West. Not only that, but it's being, you have Americans and Europeans that are basically, it's a very rich resource land. They're basically, raking in, buying up things and doing things. So it's an economic issue too. So will the politicians listen? Of course not. They're part of it. I think that it's like what Jimmy Dore said at the top, and he said it very eloquently. I don't really understand. I don't understand how Americans don't get, how corrupt our country has become, but it is. We're at a place of almost no return right now. We need, as citizens, to get the information to each other. And I think your show, INN Network, other networks that are independent and don't have corporate overlords, Kim Iverson Show, Rumble, that doesn't censor. These are ways we can get the message through to citizens because people are just like in survival mode. They're trying to like work 2 jobs and pay rent. Meanwhile, their person that they elected into office is deciding, oh, let's go to nuclear war with Russia. And hey, why not China too?
One thing I was asking the guests who will be speaking at Rage Against the War Machine in regards towards the military-industrial complex, and that is, well, how subservient and obedient millions of Americans are towards our institutions of the 2-party system, corporate media. And I said this on the show too, that corporate media has done a phenomenal job in brainwashing a lot of Americans into thinking, well, this is just how things are. Are we capable of actually making individual thoughts and actually breaking away from this system? Because right now you have Americans working 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet. We have medical debt, we have student debt, we have a crumbling infrastructure, we have a lot of problems, a ongoing homelessness crisis here in America, and
Mhm.
all the while our politicians are enriching themselves through insider trading. I mean, what will it take for the American people to wake up? Because anytime there's a Democrat in office, all these activists and anti-war groups disappear. Will there be an anti-war movement? Is whatever happened to the anti-war movement? Is it still here? And can Americans actually wake up to the fact that they're being screwed over? Because we do see Americans slowly coming to terms with the fact that, every day is now a struggle. Not only every day, every minute, every second is becoming a struggle.
Yeah.
I want to give the floor to you, Tara.
Well, I think, it's just there's awareness, right? But there's also a lot of propaganda. With any war, there's propaganda. Okay, that's true. But now you have social media and you have the government, you have a political party that's weaponized the intelligence services, weaponized it to the point where they can shape and form the message that gets out to everyone. So, and then you have, of course, Hollywoods. You have actors like Sean Penn, or I'll name other ones that are basically up there talking about the empire and let's protect the empire and democracy, and they use all these elegant phrasings, but those elegant phrasings are empty. There's nothing behind them, right? It's just a pretty fiction, because the truth is what's happening is the military industrial complex has taken the reins of the United States government. I think people are waking up to it. I think the Twitter files revealed a lot. But you're seeing a lot of people going after each other, or, kind of distraction stories. And I'm sorry, Kit, the only thing people should be talking about right now is that we're on the verge of nuclear war. There's no discussion of peace negotiations, no discussions of diplomacy coming from the Biden administration or from NATO. Why is that? And in my personal opinion, I believe NATO should be abolished. It's a war. It's all been all about war and never been about peace. And that's my thoughts on that.
I know that you definitely are short on time. Obviously, you have a lot of work you have to do with some of the other shows that you're helping to produce. But I do want to just what
I was just getting message. Yeah, thank you.
Yes. So I think it's only fair that first I want to bring up this website here, and then we'll obviously let you go. But we do appreciate the time for you making for us. Rage Against the War Machine. Obviously, it's happening on February 19th. And the People's Party, Libertarian Party, you got Liberty Speaks, Radical Caucus, Action for Assange, Punk Rock Libertarians. For all the viewers and subscribers that maybe might be unaware that this is happening, or perhaps maybe there's somebody watching this and thinking, well, should I get involved? What do you want to say to people that are maybe in the sidelines thinking they should get involved or help out? What do you want to say to those people who are hesitant and actually maybe trying to reignite the anti-war movement? Because it seems like for the most part, it's always died down. What do you want to say to people on the sidelines?
This is your life. This what they're doing is they're playing with our lives right now. They're playing with weapons of mass destruction, meaning nuclear weapons that will kill hundreds of thousands of people and maybe annihilate the planet. And they're really taking us to that brink. And this isn't a joke. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. I'm not trying to fearmonger. This is where we are. Like, today, there was an English parliament member, and I'm forgetting who it is, and I'm sorry, I'll send you the link. But he said that this is the time when England should take on Russia directly. I think he was in charge of the something with the foreign ministry there with England. And he said, this is where England should take on Russia directly. And they should invoke martial law in England. This is where they're taking us. I don't know if anyone's paying attention, but they are literally taking us to a place where this kind of rally might be the last one we have, because some people believe that are analyzing this, people that are smarter than me, Kit, that have been doing this a long, long time, are saying we're already in World War III. Now it's a matter of containment. Now it's a matter of if we take it to the brink, right? Mm-hmm. And this might be our last chance as citizens to really speak up and speak out against this war, because I fear that we are moving towards a state where they're going to silence us. Because once we hit a hot war with Russia, All bets are off. So how people can get involved is they can go to rageagainstthewarmachine.com, go to the Give Butter link and give some money to help make that a success. If they don't want to give money or do any of that, just show up or talk about it on your individual streams, or make sure you're doing citizen journalism if you can, and support networks like yours and your show like yours, Kit, because it's really important. Because you know what, all this stuff about parties like ideology, like, you know, libertarians versus communists versus socialists, who cares? If we're all gone, who cares? Right? We need to come together. Yeah.
To quote scene from Dr. Strangelove, when the nukes are launched, the survivors will envy the dead. And if anyone wants to see a real horror movie, check out the film Threads, and it will show you that there will be no great reconstruction. There will be no great rebuilding of human society, because once those nukes drop, that's it, folks. We will never get to this point again of technology or advancement. That's it. It's over. Then it's a radioactive wasteland, and humanity will just be another species that lived on Earth as the Earth shakes us off like a bad case of fleas. Nonetheless, Tara Reade, thank you so much for being here on Hard Lens Media. We appreciate your voice, and all the best to you on February 19th. The main show will continue on, so we'll be putting out the end card credits. But folks, stay tuned, because the rest of the show will carry on. And again, please follow Tara Reade on social media. She's doing phenomenal work. And again, once again, congratulations for being a producer for the outstanding, incredible Kim Iverson show. So all the best to you.
Thank you, Ken. And next time we talk, I hope we can talk about pizza and some fun stuff. And Lauren, you know, because but let's make sure, you know, that we can have that conversation next time. So maybe we'll get Fee on here. But I'm actually, because I'm going to be back east, I'm going to pop up to New York. So I'm going to have a New York slice, and I'll send you an image of it and let you know what I thought compared to Chicago.
Well, just remember, on our show, you did say Chicago style pizza was outstanding. And let's face it, Chicago style pizza is the best in the world. We are number one, but we'll be a princeps. We'll be an Augustus, a first among equals. Until then, folks, catch all you on the flip side. Again, Tara, thank you so much for being on our show. We'll see you all as in the main show. Bye-bye.